Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. This is a very strange development, and I think raises the question about why Ukraine is allowed, that's the word I'm using, allowed to have or to use nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, but Iran is not. Ukraine is at war with another country, and you're not concerned? That might start, I don't know, enriching uranium or anything? No? I wonder why. Now, obviously, I disagree the way things are set in the world, where, for instance, a proven offender is in charge of determining who can and who cannot have nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. And that is obviously the United States of America, which was a perpetrator. Okay? He's an offender, and he's not, didn't do it only one time. He did it on 2 occasions in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So I can't remember now the name of this kind of offenders who are more than once. I can't. Frequent offender is not that one. I can't remember. Anyway, so what's going on here? Not only that Ukraine is still allowed to have nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, which personally I'm okay, no problem with that. My question is why Iran? These guys have a problem with Iran and all these things. Yeah, you can, but you can't because you're gonna enrich it and you're gonna probably use it against this and that. But these guys are at war. Nevertheless, Ukrainians are even expanding, and they're allowed. Nobody has any problems with that. Very, very strange. Habitual offender? That's not what it is. All right, let's go back here. Ukrainska Pravda. Ukraine may buy 2 Russian nuclear reactors from Bulgaria. Wall Street Journal reports. Ukraine is close to reaching an agreement with Bulgaria about the purchase of 2 Russian-made nuclear reactors and other critical energy equipment. Details: the negotiations concerning the agreement are ongoing, and can you guess who's going to pay for it? Yes. According to the agreement, the Bulgarian state-owned energy company NEK will sell the equipment worth at least 600 million euros from the unfinished Belen NPP nuclear power plant to the Ukrainian state nuclear company Energoatom. Why is it unfinished, you Bulgarians? That's unbelievable. And if that's unfinished, why do you give it to these guys, this state, which is a bankrupt state, which is supported only with mercy of the United States weasels in charge that give them money and the banks? Why don't you, Bulgaria, are capable of getting the same support from the United States or the IMF or whomever and finish that nuclear power plant? Jesus Christ, it's so important. And guess who's buying it? Ukrainian state doesn't have squat. Anyway, nuclear company, state nuclear company. Since it will be hard for Ukraine to afford this purchase, no shit, I would say impossible, one of the options discussed by the Bulgarian and American, what does America have to do with all this? Official is that the US may take its contribution in the form of aid for Ukraine. So these guys are going to give my money, my taxes, to Ukraine's energy company, atomic energy company. Isn't that strange? Isn't that thievery? Isn't that robbery, thievery? Isn't that what it is? These guys use my taxes and my money to give it to someone else instead of putting that money here where they belong to make my life better because I work for those taxes. They give it to those guys so they can have that. They buy it from the other guys instead of giving Bulgaria the money to finish their power plant, the nuclear power plant. Why not? Why give it to these guys? Guys, something is not kosher there. Why don't you give it to Bulgaria? You give it to the other guys who are at war. Can make shit up. And can't pay for it. And guess what? You ask, not you didn't ask. That was a poor choice of words. You take it from me, my children, you, your children, your grandchildren, and so on. Go and vote, right? Yes, go and vote. Elect these guys, and then you can do anything about it. I can't do anything. I cannot. You know what I can do? I can work within the system, I've been told, in the American universities. Yes, you work within the system. Yeah, and how is that? You go and vote. Yeah, but those 4 years, or 5 years, or 6 years, those guys do whatever they want, legally. These guys are going to take my money, my taxes, legally, and give it to the neighbors' kids. And my kids are starving. Democracy for you. I'm getting very angry. Another payment option is also being considered. Bulgaria might receive a minority share in Ukraine's Kumbim nuclear power plant, where the equipment will be installed. By whom? Whose money? It's unbelievable. On July 6th, the Bulgarian parliament adopted a decision that obliged the Bulgarian government to hold negotiations with Kiev about the sale of the plant. What? So Bulgarian parliament adopted this decision that obliged the Bulgarian government. So they say, hey, Bulgarian parliament, you have to negotiate with Kiev. That is, you have to sell it, not negotiate. Negotiate in the way of, hey, Americans, we're going to give it to you, you're going to pay, and we're good. Oh my God, this is a thievery. About the sale of the plant. Wall Street Journal, referring to unnamed sources, reported that the agreement, which has been prepared for several weeks, was kept secret in order to prevent pro-Russian Bulgarian politicians from blocking it. What? This is democracy that we support? So the whole thing was kept under the table, secret, in order to prevent pro-Russian politicians from blocking it. So people, not that they call it the pro-Russians, but let's say they were just pro-Bulgaria. Let's say like me and say, you know what? No, those things should stay in Bulgaria and we should build that nuclear power plant for us. And Americans, you give us the money from Emil. How about that? Or from the banks. No? No, they did it secretly. They bypassed it and they call them Russian, prevent pro-Russia Bulgarian politicians. So if you think about your country, Bulgaria, and that somehow opposes the will of a foreign country, United States of America, you're called pro-Russian. All right. If you don't think that's the way it is, all right. So, the works at the Belene nuclear power plant have been halted and resumed several times since 1980s. The Western governments criticized the project due to its technical and commercial faults in connection with being dependent on Russian fuel. So that's what the problem was. The Westerns were saying, no, it's bad because it's going to be dependent on Russian fuel. If it's going to be dependent on our fuel, everything is perfect. Okay. Gigawatt aquatic BBEP 1000 reactors were installed at the power plant. The same reactors were also installed at 2 power units in the Keme nuclear power plant, which have been commissioned. That's Ukrainian. Great, 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 my friends, great. These guys are giving us information, but if we're tards, we don't get it. But since we are almost, so we're not full. We are half, or at least I speak about myself, okay? So I don't go full retard. So I'm going half. So even with half, I'm still getting it. They're called pro-Russians. So therefore you say, what if you want to say, no, we keep it in Bulgaria, we make it for Bulgarian people. Pro-Russian! Oh, it's pro-Russian because the Russians will provide the energy. Yes! But if Canada provides it, we keep it. But if United States, we keep it. The United States doesn't have. The United States still takes about 10% from Russia, nuclear energy and so on, nuclear plutonium or something. I can't remember exactly what they take. But anyway, this is it, my friends. Good job. Good job. Now you know how things work and who's the one who's deep. And if you're an American, you too. If you don't think so, just wait for the taxes, my friends. Wait for the taxes. And there will be, again, step by step. And read my lips. right? Now, right now we're in 2023, and the 7th of 7th, right? So in July 7th, 2023. By 2020, after the elections, you're gonna see up big time. If these guys are still in power, we might see in about 5 years here something that we don't want to see. Might remind you of, I know, 1865 or something. Anyway, my friends, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. Go and work! Zip it! Go and work! So they can send the money there.